folks. Welcome to NiteLife Exchanges, where we discuss things regarding the nightlife, cabaret and piano bar. And it's a special week because it's Halloween next week coming up. So costumes are already on, people out on the street. Parties are already happening. And I can't do any party here today without my co-host, Mr. Tony Javid. Tony, come on.
I'm here, and boy, Halloween's upon us, and that in and of itself is scary.
Halloween
So fast.
is upon us. And, but you know what? We've got the perfect guest
We do.
for Halloween. He's been around for a while. I've known him since we were kids. And Michael McQuarry's done so many different characterizations, created so much magic on stage. And we have a little clip from a movie that he made called Bulls, Bears, and Hollywood Stars, where he appears. He does Gloria Swanson, he does Betty Davis, but this is the piece that he does of Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Down 21%.
Out in the NASDAQ, everything and more has been completely wiped out.
Working the phone say a lot of their customers are freaked out.
Gary. Look into my eyes. Deeper. Tell me what you see. Great success for a very brilliant man. Yes, Gary. Great success. Beware. Your fate. Always a prize, Gary. Always a prize.
God, I love you, Michael.
Oh, you're the best.
Oh,
Welcome.
I love you too. Gosh, I looked okay back then. What happened? I don't know.
That clip. You're the man of 1,000 faces. That was you're known in the business.
There was 78 right there.
You just did them.
Impressive.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And again, this is a good week because we always like to have you around the holidays. And Halloween is a special time, wherever we are. And what do they call it? Gay Christmas, I think I've heard.
Yeah, I think so. That kind of fits. I think that works.
I
know we're all excited about it. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm working on my costume.
What are you going to do?
I will break the news that I will be attending the party at Ellen Stardust Diner as Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd.
You heard it here first.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I will be a big one, a big Mrs. Lovett, but
I want to know in whose vein. Is it like Patti LuPone? Is it an Angela Lansbury? Is it an Adelie Ashford?
I'm a traditionalist. I believe in the Angela Lansbury school of everything.
Tony and I both agree with you.
We completely agree.
We both agree.
But Michael, all you have to do is open a closet and go through all of the costuming and all of the. You must have a ton of things over the years because you have played so many different parts. Now you have a show coming up. Also.
I do. Yeah.
Now, you put on that you aged yourself by saying 50 years and 50 years of wow, right?
Well, there's a really good answer to that because Inglewood Arts out in Independence, it's where Ginger Rogers and Harry Truman dance together. They're revitalizing their kind of glamour, what they had, and they approached me saying, we've found out about you. You've done all this stuff. Would you like to do a show? And I said, I would love to do a show.
Right.
It's been so long. And then researching stuff, I actually did The Witch of Sleeping Beauty when I was 10. And so it kind of does work. And that was my first professional show. And that was the show my mother said after she saw that, the world will never be the same again. So yeah, and I do a love letter to the Disney Bad Girls, and do a double barrel Betty Davis from Dead Ringer. You know, it's just really a lot of fun. I mean, I did this stuff when I was younger. Now I'm more younger, but I'm going back and revisiting the scenes, and there's a few things that I didn't include that now I love. Like, for instance, when Betty Davis asks Edie, she goes, you know, what did he die of? And then so Edie looks back, and Margaret looks at her, and Edie looks back, and she takes a puff of the cigarette. And once there's no answer, she goes, meaning we know the story. And that take it there. I'll keep the rest of it for the show.
So meanwhile, let's put that down on the bottom, Tony. Now, this is happening in Independence, Missouri. Now, we are in New York. You have been living out in the Kansas City.
Yes.
And
for about 10 years.
But we know that there are cabaret people out in Kansas City.
Yes.
And those people need to get to. And now, if you're looking for a vacation spot in the next few days to plan, you can travel to Independence, Missouri, I'm sure. But otherwise, you folks out there, get to the theater, get to the Englewood Arts Center, and see Michael McQuarry, because he is truly one of the best. And what he does is an art form that not very many people still master. And you got it. You got it. Now, you started the whole crafting of this and real development, of course, after your mom gave you the okay.
Right.
And you came.
It's actually a little more racy than that. Here's the real story, and it's really interesting. Are you ready? The real story is my mother and I were the only ones we had for each other. My real dad was David Shadow, and he was a professional boxer. But basically, my mother's boyfriend got a little tired of me always being in the apartment. And he said, this kid has too much energy. Get him involved in an acting school. So she said, okay, so the Portland Civic Theater, because I was made in Portland, Oregon. Joey Adams always loved made in Portland, Oregon. A guy, wow. Yeah. So he said, it makes sense for you because you're very different. So they dropped me off at the Portland Civic Theater, and I was given a basic improv, like, okay, so you're this cowboy in a Western town, and you rob the bank, and you know, you get away in a stagecoach. So what does that look like? So what I did was, when I was called up there, I was the robber, I was the bank, I was the bell, I was the money, I was the townspeople, I was the dust of wind, I was everyone running, and I was them, like, you know, and saw the town in the palm of my hand. And I was there for a long time.
You probably you stole the show, huh?
Richard Hurst, who was a very famous actor there, said, I'll never forget you, like, entering a room with your toga and Androcles and the Lions. And when you said, you, sir, are the greatest man in Rome, magnificent. He said, it was like you lived in your toga. And once in a while, an acting teacher hopes for that. And I guess some things never changed.
And you came to New York, and you only expounded upon everything that you came with, and became, again, a featured player at 88.
Right. Well, that was quite a thing, with Irv Rabel discovered me at the Trocadero in a rainy little dressing room with the rain coming down. I was getting my face on. And back in those days, as you guys know, you stayed back there for many hours, and you had to forget going to the bathroom. But that was the diehards, you know, and I love your shows, and I love what you do, because, you know, performers need to perform or they start to fade away. So I love this opportunity and what you guys do. That was like crying. I wasn't smelling my SD louder perfume. I appreciate you.
It could have been so many things. Thank you for clarifying.
How about that Trocadero, though? That the mention of the Trocadero, you know, that was a wonderful space.
It was a bar bistro, right? And the cabaret space was downstairs.
The Horn of Plenty was above it.
Exactly.
The restaurant. And
wow.
So you could get a really fine meal.
Yeah.
And then go down to the Trocadero and the cabaret room down there.
And back in those days, there was like Everett Quentin Crisp. And Everett Quentin, he was really great. We kind of helped each other. People don't know this, but they should know this, because we lost Everett Quentin. After Charles Ludlam died, and this is very nice publicly to say, he was that nice that he needed a friend. And I needed a friend too. So we were friends. And Everett Quentin was, talk about character actors, I mean, when I auditioned for Nichette Fondue, his role in Camille, he said, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, I think, and I was, 20 something. He's like, he took my hand and we went, and
You were ready.
and I said something like from the women at the end. Luxury is something that what from the women. I said something that beyond Jungle Red, but
Right.
it was very grand, and Eureka said, "Well, there's only one star," so it was nice. And then Everett came and saw my shows, but that's showbiz, kid.
Yeah.
But
And
what
then
a heart. But so
you
no,
met
what
a lot
happened?
of
Like
people. You met a lot of people.
when Quentin Crisp says you were like a oneness with the audience, I loved it. So
That's a keeper.
that's a keeper, right?
Yeah, for sure. And those people, this is one of the things about being in show business for 50 years. And it's approximate. And that is, we got where we landed on the calendar in the world, where we landed date wise was we actually got a chance to see all of, there was nothing like Hollywood in the 30s and 40s, okay, 40s
Right.
particularly, and even the 50s. It was an amazing, stunning place where stars were made, stars were born, and the whole energy of Hollywood helped build what became America, part of our
Right.
dreams,
Right.
the dream machine, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
But a lot of those stars that were in those movies that created all that magic, they were still around.
Well, I was
we
very
arrived.
lucky, right? Because I was very young, and some of them are very old. Like Lauren Bacall, I worked at a little knick-knack shop across from the Lucille Lortel Theater on Christopher Street, and Lauren Bacall comes into this little nowhere thing on Christopher Street, and I heard this voice outside of the window, and she's like, "Look at that! What is that?" And I went out there, and she's like, What are you?" And I said, "I just have to tell you that you're art on 2 feet." She goes, "Did you hear that?" To her friend, she goes, "I'm art on 2 feet." And, they like me for some reason, because I think I did follow the beat of my own drum for other people, because I
Right.
couldn't do the mundane kitchen sink realism acting, yet I did it. But then when you have Jory Weiler from the American Academy and Uta Hagen said, "I'm going against all my other principles for you. You're that something extra. You're that surprise. So you do your thing because it's a surprise." And I went,
Wow.
"Thanks."
And you still surprise. And you still
Even
surprise.
Tony, look, he's surprised.
Yes.
So,
I love it.
Michael, we one of the things is like picking the characters were easier than in a certain way because you knew the standouts. You knew, Betty Davis.
Right.
You knew Gloria Swanson.
Yes.
Some of the others that you picked out. These were the people that our parents had seen, and we saw in movies that we still had. $1 Million Movie at
Yeah.
on WOR and all.
Right.
And then they would be on the talk shows. They would all make the talk show round.
It was fun to see them older. I actually preferred all these greats older. I thought they were much more interesting.
They grew into their characters, right?
Yeah, the lesson we want to learn in life is just don't sweat the little shit and just relax. And only if we knew that. But this is a good message to share now, because I'm better just not enjoying just the little things or the big things.
Right.
And they had a tighter rein, obviously, when they were pumping out movies. When their later years, they could just sort of kick back on, I don't know, Dick Cavett or Michael Douglas or anybody's couch and just let it rip and not care, like you say.
And they did.
Yeah, and they did.
They did.
I just was at the cabaret convention time here, and they did a Doris Day evening.
Oh, boy.
And one of the recommendations from Rex Reed was to go to the interview that she did with Johnny Carson. She really did not want to be there, but she went because apparently they told her that Rex Reed would be there. So she came to Johnny Carson, and just watching the interview, but she put him through the full spin. She did the whole thing with him. She made him really work for that interview because she could.
Speaking of Rex Reed, I had a really nice quote from him. he was like, the world needs more McQuarry, a legend. He was like very kind to me. I saw him, it was years ago, but he was very kind. I got a really good quote from him. It was nice,
We
and
all,
Jerry Stiller and all those people that were around, like the Five Oaks, Jerry Stiller, I have a great story. I did a song. I was the host for a brief stint at the Five Oaks, and Jerry Stiller was watching me as the host. He said, you're more than just this at the door. Will you sing? Boy, I forgot his name. What was his name? The guy that everyone had a little issue with. So
Jeremy? Jeremy?
I think, I don't. Yeah, maybe. But I went up there and I sang "I Will Wait from You" from the Umbrellas of Cherbourg, and I had a diamond cigarette holder, and I was like, "If it takes forever, I will wait for you for 1,000 summers." And he got up, opened up his wallet, had a $20 bill. That's all he had in it. Gave it to me and kissed me on the lips and says, "That's what it used to be like."
Wow.
And then he and Anne Mary, they went up the steps and left, where they were so mad at me at the Five Oaks.
Well,
the show they came to see, they saw me and left, and I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, just jealous. So, Michael, one of the things that you and we spoke the other day about, and it's interesting. The world has changed a lot in the time that we've been on it, and a lot of it is because of us, because of the things that we did, and the shows that we put on, and the envelopes that we pushed.
Oh yeah.
To really change things, and we weren't the first. That what we
carried the torch. We just carried the torch. We
passed it on, and then we have this next generation down, and it's just truly an enormous part of the world right now is accepting diversity and the LGBTQ community and all. We had growing up some people, like we had Charles Pierce that performed in drag. We have some video here, somebody that people may not remember because he's just before the curve in I think you would say really the 60s and 70s. But we have a clip here of Jim Bailey.
Yes.
And he was one of the finest at a time that very few people were really doing female impersonation or those kind of performances. And he was a gay man as well.
Yeah.
But of course, nobody knew what that meant because even Liberace was straight,
right.
Forever, right? So with all of that said, let's watch this little video of Jim Bailey and give a little honor to a man that helped set the groundwork.
Chase all your cares away. Shout hallelujah, come on, get happy. Get ready for the judgment day. The sun is shining, come on, get happy. The Lord is waiting to take your hand. Shout hallelujah, come on, get happy. We're gonna be going to the promised land. We're heading across the river. Wash your sins away in the tide. It's all so peaceful on the other side. Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. You better chase all your cares away. So hallelujah, come on, get happy. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready for the judgment day.
Pretty amazing, right? And don't forget, folks, the technology that was available in those days is not what it is today. And look at that, the crew of dancers behind
Oh
them.
my gosh.
Right.
And Jim sang.
Yeah.
That was him singing. He wasn't using tracks. He wasn't faking it or anything like that.
Right.
That was him singing?
See, Tony, you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't. I'm so glad I didn't know that ahead of time.
He did Peggy Lee, Betty Davis. He did all the voices to Barbara Streisand. And Garland. He sang with Garland on the Judy Garland show.
Wow.
He was remarkable. And
Boy, I should give my card back. Oh
No,
my
I give
goodness.
it back.
I really didn't. Wow.
Don't give your card back, Tony. You earned that card.
Wow.
We
But I
have
was
to do-
fooled.
It's nice to learn new things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
That's
I
what
was
we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I was
want you
completely
folks-
fooled.
I want you folks out there that think that you've seen
I
it
know.
all. Go back and go onto the YouTube and look at Jim Bailey. Look at Charles Pierce. There's some videos of Charles. These people that really laid the groundwork for.
They did.
And broke down the walls that made a lot of what we took and ran with possible. And now it's to the next level. The one thing that I do miss is that in those days, the characterizations were for the women, and mostly the women that were famous for having attitude.
Well, they had big personalities.
Big personality.
So they were easy. They were more interesting to do.
Yeah.
So
now they're new people and they make their own personalities.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, it's a good point. I mean, that was a function of the star system too. You created a star, and now the point is the taste is to disappear into a role. Whereas it's like, well, I still want to see Betty Davis when I'm seeing Betty Davis. It's like she's playing a role, but she's still Betty Davis.
Right.
Completely imitatable.
Well, what happened with me, and there was a curiosity that came up with the younger generation in Inglewood Arts. There's a lot of young people, and someone said, they won't know who Betty Davis is. I said, but if I'm doing it right, I had to see her for the first time too once.
Right.
And I'll tell you, when even I did a little run through as Betty Davis, they howled. They didn't know who she was. But then, if I'm doing what I'm doing and loving the love and making you see what I see, and then doing in my brain the movie, I'm that.
Exactly.
And they were just yelling. They fell off their seat, and I'm enjoying it with them all over again. So I'm actually, I came to Kansas City to be old, and I've never worked so hard in my life.
They need to know these things too, by the way. If you're going to be, if you're in the business and that's your trade, what you're doing, you owe it to go back and look at the people whose shoulders you stand on. Charles Bush is another example of somebody that really, and he's just finished writing a book. I finished reading it, by the way, Tony. Great book.
He's a good friend. He's very supportive of me as well. It's we all have to, us have to, it's better to be, celebrate everyone. They all have their special abilities. So Charles does one thing and it's very, very great. And I do like a sleight of hand. As Mel Brooks used to say, I would walk by French Roast on 6th Avenue and he'd be eating at 2 a.m. And he'd go, I come over here. And I'm like, oh, it's like, and he'd have his entourage. He'd have me, he said, do that Igor from Son of Frankenstein. And I'm like, what? He goes, well, you're Michael McQuarry. Don't they know who you are yet? And I went, well, it's like, do you want to help?
And there it is, Mel
Yeah,
Brooks.
it's like, I'm here.
Yeah, so I would do Igor.
Out.
Do you want to see the Igor thing that he loved?
Sure.
So what I would and you'll see if you catch on with the vaudeville thing that he appreciated, because my whole body is the set. All I have is what I never had, but what I did have is what I got. So he said, go, and I'd go, nobody can mend Igor's neck. It's all right. And I'd hit the floor, cracking the bone. He goes, that's it. No, that's it. Because he appreciated the old school. Because I thought it was because to make that weird sound, I'd hit the ground.
Oh yeah.
And he just loved it. That was his thing.
Right. That was a time in New York. Really, you just you never knew. They were all over. Actually.
Yeah.
And of course, the New York thing, by the way, you have to be called over to somebody like that.
Oh yeah, because I looked at him. Well, I kind of came under the light, and what I would do is be very mysterious, which I'm not very good at. And he'd go, "Oh, you're Michael McQuarry." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "What should I do next?" I said, "On Broad, do Young Frankenstein," and the rest is history.
It is.
And he did. But then, then time went on and time.
Hey, Michael.
Yes. Uh-oh. Yes.
we can go on. We'll have
I
you
know, our
back on
time
again
is
because we
up.
got more stories.
Oh,
The
good.
time is up. Yeah, you know what? Because attention spans are shorter than when we were
Right.
kids.
Well, as we go, I just
But,
want to share with you. I actually was given as a gift the original ring from, or one of the replicas that is of the family for Lugosi. This is
Wow.
Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
nice.
I
And
love
it's
that
the
as a
actual
kid.
real one, because the copies online, the shank is different.
Wow.
And and in the show, I actually wear a replica from the family's permission license of Bela's Cape.
Wow.
So, I'm very happy. Anyway, thank you.
Tony, let's show the address again, the information, so
Yeah.
that people can see this man.
One night only.
One night only. Michael McQuarry, 50 years of wow.
Thank you, guys. And I love the show. And thanks for keeping the pulse going, And so
we're here for you.
Thank you for keeping the pulse going.
Nice to see you guys again.
Love you, Michael.
I miss you already.
Have a wonderful Halloween, Michael.
Happy Halloween.
Don't do anything I wouldn't.
Right, of course. Farewell.
Farewell.